for the many blessings that you bestowed upon each and every one of us. Thank you for this great county in which we live. Thank you for this great state. Thank you for this great country. Thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy by being Americans. Help us, dear Lord, not to take those freedoms for granted. Thank you for our staff and for the great citizens of this county. Guide and direct us. Help us to make decisions that are good for this county and good for our citizens. Pray these things in your name, dear Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting tonight. We've got a fairly lengthy agenda. If there's anyone that wants to speak on any of the items that are on the agenda, I would ask you to please come to the podium and state your name clearly for the records, if you don't mind. Section 1 is recognitions, resolutions, and presentations. We don't have anything tonight. Is there any other changes to the agenda, Ms. Daniels?
There is not.
No additions or no deletions. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any questions, comments, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. As I just said, we have no items under recognitions, resolutions, and presentations. Item number 2 is a public hearing. Item number 1 is the board adoption of the local option fuel tax ordinance. Ms. Daniels, you want to bring us up to speed?
I will read the title of this ordinance. This is an ordinance imposing an additional 5-cent local option motor fuels tax under Florida statute section 336.0251B, effective January 1st, 2024, providing for severability and repealer and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. We'll adjourn this meeting and go into a public hearing. I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience that is wishing to either speak for or against the adoption of this resolution. Seeing no hands in the audience wishing to speak either for or against the local option fuel tax ordinance. Fred, is there anyone online indicating a desire to speak either for or against the adoption of this ordinance?
If anyone online would like to speak for or against this, they may use the raise hand feature via Zoom or *9 via telephone. I see no hands.
Okay, thank you, Fred. With that being said, we'll close out the public hearing, go back into a regular schedule, a regular session. I'll remind everyone in the audience for the commission, this is for adopting, basically adopting an ordinance imposing an additional 5-cent local option motor fuels tax. This is being done under the Florida statute section 336.0251B. This will be effective if adopted on January 1st, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the adoption.
Okay, got a motion from Commissioner Crutchfield, a second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Peacock voting again.
I am voting against it because I feel that we are in dire straits. Our economy is, and this is just an added tax on our people.
Like, just as a point of argument or with that, I will say I'm voting for it. We did vote for it because I feel like it's a user tax. I feel it's a fair and equitable way to raise additional revenue for this county. And I do know that a lot of the revenue generated as a result of this ordinance will come from those traveling through Jackson County. And I know that as citizens that travel to other parts of the state, we're paying that same tax, helping to provide revenues for other counties. So I think it's a fair and equitable way of producing some additional revenue that is sorely needed for this county. And that's been evidenced as a result of having to go through the budget the last 2 times. Mr. Crutchfield.
Oh, yeah, I want to add to that. Same thing as you just said, people traveling through the state from out of town would probably pay a lot of it. And another thing, everything is going up, and if nothing's staying still, so hard for us to pay for things going up, just like everybody else having to pay for stuff going up. And we don't get any more revenue, we gotta do something to try to offset that a little bit. So, you know, I hate to put the burden on the citizens, but, you know, they're getting it put on by other people too. And, not that we're just trying to do that, we just, got to go move forward.
Well, there's limited ways that we have for raising revenue, and that's one of them. I think it's like I said.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you and Mr. Crutchfield alluded to the fact that we're going to be taxing people passing through, and I agree. But neither one of you told me how much revenue is generated by the people passing through. Did we do a study to determine how much these out-of-town people would be paying? Because you got what, Love's, TA, Pilot, those are the main ones along the interstate. That's what you're referring to.
Sure.
Did y'all pull those numbers to see how much revenue is they're generating?
I think it's been looked at in the past.
Oh, actually, Jeremy with PFM did say that we could do that. He said, but those studies are very costly. Making it not as, and so he said he would guess in the 70% range based on studies he's done in similar areas with similar interchanges. But that's a guess based on past studies. He did not recommend spending the money on that investing the money on that.
Call the Department of Revenue.
I got
They'll
something
tell
to
you.
add to that.
Okay.
When I was on board before, they were wanting to build a new hospital, and they did a study. And the statistics said that 61% of the out-of-state people will pay for a brand new hospital. But it was put on the vote and voted down. So, you know,
I got something to say.
Commissioner Branch.
Well, I don't think anybody up here wants to vote for our tax. But we have to pay it just like everybody else does. But I get calls every day about our roads, every day. And I want to be able, we've got to be in the shape, maybe to not build new roads so much as to maintain what we have. And right now, we don't have the money to maintain what we have. We don't have the manpower to maintain what we have. And I think this is a way that we can get to that point where, I mean, I think the last count I had, Road and Bridge had 16 vacancies. 6 of those was frozen last year. And I don't think anybody's standing in line to go out and go to work for what we pay. That's one of our problems, I feel like, is we have a problem with the road. We don't have anybody to go fix it right now. We've got to have enough people to maintain what we have. And I wish there was another way, but I can't see it. Nobody's told me another way. And I think it's just gotten to the point where we've got to do something. Everything's went up so much.
We've got the.
I don't see another way.
And I understand what you're saying. But this money is going to go, obviously it'll be earmarked for Road and Bridge. What they'll do, they've already said this, that $1.5 million that they've been taking out of general revenue will be held back.
Well,
So you're not going to get an increase of $1.5 million in Road and Bridge.
well, we've got to do something. I mean, I don't know about you. Like I say, I get calls every day. And they're legitimate calls. I go look at the roads. They're legitimate.
Oh, I know.
And when you don't have anybody to send there or have any money to put rock down, you gotta fix them some way. And I say, let's maintain what we have.
Commissioner
I
McKinney.
agree with you, Commissioner. Also, it's just a fair and equitable way of sharing the wealth, if you want to say. I mean, it's user tax, and our town people are going to use that, you know. So we're not putting all the burden on our taxpayers, you know. So it's definitely a plus, and it's a needed plus because you know, budget time every year we fighting tooth and nail to try to balance the budget. But we're on a trajectory now that we could continue to go like we're going. This time next year, we won't have that problem. We'll be on the right track.
By doing the fuel tax, everybody pays to drive a vehicle.
And really to put it into, reference, if you fill your car up one time a week, 20-gallon gas tank, that's an extra $1 a week. So it's not a huge impact on most people, I would think. Now, there are those out there that drive a lot more, and this tax does not apply to diesel either, so it doesn't affect a lot of the farm implements and things like that.
I think a lot of misconception of it. I read something today, said it's going at 15 cents a gallon. That's not supposed to say. It's going up 5 cents a gallon. And as you say, 20 gallons is $1. I don't mind paying that.
Yeah.
If it's gonna help us
You see,
have better results of what we need to do for this county.
All right, well, let's move on. It was voted on 4-1, moving out of the public, moving down to section 3, which is community development. We've got under section, item 1 is a request for board approval to set a public hearing for Tranquility at Hope School Phase 2. Ms. Daniels?
Yes, this is a request to set a public hearing for September 12th, 2023 at 6:00 PM for a general development order for Phase 2 of Tranquility at Hope School, consisting of two-story apartment buildings with vehicular use area, playground, and pavilion totaling 56,270 square feet. The project is located at 1999 Hope School Drive in unincorporated Jackson County.
You've heard the request.
Chairman, I move to approve the request.
Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Peacock. I don't know that we've got an answer. Wendy may know. How many units are included in this development? Wendy, you didn't know about off chance?
I think it's around 32.
It looks like it was 32. Okay, but that's good. Housing is a problem, so this will help to begin to address that. Thank you. I've got a motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Peacock. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion stated, please signify by raising the right hand. Opposed, same sign. Cut motion carries unanimously. Section 4, item 1 is the consent agenda. I trust everyone's had a chance to look at the consent agenda. If that's the case, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments?
Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Got a motion from Commissioner
I'll
Crutchfield.
second it, but I want to point out something.
Okay, got a second from Commissioner Peacock with a question.
On the value adjustment board on page 18 in our book, y'all have Danielle's information in there. We need to adjust that. Client is Value Adjustment Board, Jackson County, Danielle McDaniel, and her email. We just need to correct that.
Okay. Approve it with the correction made to that item. With that being said, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 2, board appointment of 2 county commissioners to serve on the Value Adjustment Board. Ms. Daniels?
2 county commissioners will serve on the Value Adjustment Board, with one of the 2 being elected to serve as chairman. Value Adjustment Board meetings are scheduled for October 2nd, 2023 at 9 a.m. for a Value Adjustment Board training, and October 16th and 17th at 9 a.m. for hearings.
Mr. Peacock, you have served on that in the past, have you not?
I have, and I'll be glad to serve again and serve as the chairman if you want.
That would be good. Mr. Crutchfield, you want to start out? Okay. Entertain a motion to appoint Commissioner Peacock, Commissioner Crutchfield to serve as members on that board, with Commissioner Peacock serving as the chairman.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion from Commissioner McKinney,
Second.
second from Commissioner Peacock. Any questions, comments, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, symbolize by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 3, moving down the agenda, board approval of an agreement with Carr Riggs Ingram. This is for auditing services. Ms. Daniels.
This is a request to extend this agreement for 3 years of auditing services. Total fees under this agreement will not exceed $108,500.
A quick question, and we asked Red about this today, but is this an extension of an existing contract, or is this a brand new contract?
I guess a little bit of both. It's the firm has audited the county for at least the last 15 years.
Okay. All right. That being said,
The rate close to about the same, or did it increase?
It has gone up approximately $10,000, but we've got new market tax credit that really increased the workload. Plus, there's some pronouncements, leases. What else on it that they've been kind of working with us on? And the new gas 96. So there's 2 or 3 things that have increased the price for that. And looking at the surrounding counties, we probably has a good deal, or as good a deal as any of the other surrounding counties.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve this request.
got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney,
I have a question.
question from Commissioner Branch.
Did we send out?
Question proposal.
Bid.
Right. We
No,
did.
we haven't.
Bids? We did not.
Has not been put up. Now, that's something that's an option that you do have.
Is it legally required?
Not for these services, no.
I bet there's a
We-
lot of benefit to staying with the same firm. There's familiarity with our staff, our processes, our accounting procedures. There's a lot of benefits to staying with the same firm.
And they're a local firm, and I don't know, we have a couple other firms in town, but I have talked to both of them. They're not interested in putting in a proposal right now. So, you would have interest. I think the interest would not be anywhere local. I think the interest would be from all, and then they're gonna want to do everything remotely. Because otherwise they'd have to send somebody up here.
There's a big benefit to having that service provided locally, both.
They do a good job, don't they?
They have done a good job. They work with us. One thing that we put in the contract, is to have it done a little bit earlier than what we've been doing. So hopefully we'll have that done. And I will touch base with our other firms. We know people that work at the other firms, and when they are able, we'll bring it back to you guys. But I think staying local there is going to get that. And they got local people working.
Okay, did we get a motion?
I did.
And a second. Okay, got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Moving down the agenda, item number 4 is board approval of TDC sponsorship of Jackson County Disc Golf. Ms. Daniels.
This is a request to award a $2,240 sponsorship to the Jackson County Disc Golf Club for their November tournament at Citizens Lodge. The TDC board did vote to approve this request at its August meeting.
Okay, you heard the explanation.
I make a motion, we approve the request.
A motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Staying with the TDC, item number 5 is board approval of Chipola College Athletic Program Platinum Legacy memberships. Ms. Daniels.
This request is to approve the purchase of 3 Platinum Legacy memberships for the Chipola College Athletic Program for a cost of $7,500. This will include several ticket packages that can be leveraged for marketing giveaways and prizes, advertising opportunities during games on social media, billboards, and other platforms, and will allow for 2 games to be named after the TDC/BOCC. The TDC board did vote to approve the request in its August meeting.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Branch. One question. I know our firm has been a member of this for a number of times. Since we're getting 3 memberships, I know that the names appear in a lot of publications. Will we get our name in there 3 different times, or how will that be addressed that we're?
Kelsey Williams is online. Kelsey, can you answer that?
She needs broadband.
Hi, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yes, we will be able to get our logos out in various publications. We can do that with both the TDC and BOCC.
That's very good. Okay. We got
And with that,
Commissioner
with that
McKinney's got a
said, what's
question.
our slogan for Jackson? Would that be integrated within the package?
I'm not sure. I
I
think
would-
it'll. Go ahead.
I would
Go
be
ahead,
happy
Kelsey.
to, I'd be happy to work to make sure that whatever we put out for those publications can be a good representation of the county as a whole.
I think Chipola, Jeff Johnson, Coach Johnson was at the TDC meeting, and I'm sure they'll work with us in any way. This is something that I think is important for the TDC and Chipola College to work together, and it'll be a relationship that can be mutually beneficial for sure. So we got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Branch. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motions signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6, board approval of the TDC grant for Cave Adventures. Ms. Daniels.
This is a request to award a $3,000 grant for Cave Adventures 20th anniversary celebration event to be hosted on September 16th at Blue Springs. Funds will be utilized for t-shirt giveaways, and the TDC board voted to approve this request at its August meeting.
Where's the explanation?
Vote to approve.
Got a
Second.
motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 7, moving down the agenda, approval of the TDC video co-op contract with Visit Florida. Ms. Daniels.
So this contract with Visit Florida would cost $6,000 for 2 4-week video campaigns. Visit Florida invests $24,000 for the campaigns. This package targets travelers in Florida and includes features on Trevor Video, Freewheel, NBC Universal, Magnite, and Samba TV. An estimated 1.3 million people will be reached through these campaigns, and the TDC board did vote to approve the contract during the August 14th meeting.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve this request.
Motion from Commissioner Peacock. Second from Commissioner Branch. Is it fair to define this as kind of a matching grant then, if they're providing additional dollars? Kind of.
Kelsey, how's
Correct.
that working? And is it a match?
So they are investing, I believe it's a 2-to-1 match. They're doing some intense outreach for rural areas of opportunity. And so they are doing significantly more because of our size compared to what they will do for other counties.
Okay, thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Okay, I got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Branch. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 8, board approval of the TDC advertising contract with Advanced Travel. Ms. Daniels.
This contract includes a multi-month campaign to include mobile display ads, geofence target advertisements, paid social media ads, creative and ad design work, and an in-depth reporting on ad and marketing performance. This campaign will be utilized in conjunction with the Visit Florida advertisement to promote Jackson outdoors, vacation planning, and local events. And the TDC board did vote to approve this contract in the amount of $14,500 at its August meeting.
For the explanation. Got a kind of motion.
So
Got a motion from Commissioner McKinney, second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 9, board approval of the TDC board vacancy appointment. Ms. Daniels.
Yes, Selena O'Brien has been selected by the TDC as a recommendation to fill the current vacancy for the TDC board. This position is open for an individual involved with the tourism industry. Ms. O'Brien owns the local Beef O'Brady's and is currently working to develop the former Madison Street Restaurant in Mariana. The TDC board voted unanimously to recommend Selena to the open position.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this request.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock.
Second.
Second from Commissioner McKinney. I will say that the process of advertising for these open positions on various boards is working very well. We had, I think, 9 applicants apply for this. It's really stimulated, I think, a lot of interest in these positions, and I think it's really a good thing because it's getting the need out there and it's getting qualified applicants. Of the 9 applicants that we had, again, all of them had some very good qualifications. So the hard decision was trying to weed it down and pick the most qualified. So I think that process is working very well.
I agree.
With that being said, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Moving down the agenda, item number 10 is board approval of the Jackson Endeavor Museum Board appointments. Ms. Daniels.
After going through the committee application process, the TDC board voted to recommend the following individuals to the museum board. Those are listed in your packet. Onboarding will take place in September and the first meeting will be hosted in early October. And as I said, the TDC did recommend the attached list.
Mr. Chairman, I got a couple questions.
Okay.
People on here.
Okay, can we get a motion? You want to get a motion in a second first, or?
I think I want to discuss it before we do a
Okay,
motion,
Go ahead.
because my motion may be different than what. The first one we list is Byron Dickens. I know Mr. Dickens, he's a good guy and everything, but he was in here several months ago and presented the concept that he was going to start his own museum next door to this one. I think it would be a conflict of interest to have him serving on our museum board when in fact he's trying to start his own next door.
You know-
That's the way I see it.
I was just going to say, I initially had that same concern. But kind of after talking to Mr. Dickens and kind of knowing how these museums will be set up, I don't really think that they'll be competing. I think they actually could be, and the way that they're going to be co-located could be working together, and could be kind of a collaborative effort between the two museums to bring more people in. Again, I had that same concern.
It would bother me that he would be serving on that board because they're going to be spending a lot of our money.
Didn't we discuss putting them together?
No.
We didn't discuss that. No.
So where,
It may have been brought up.
I think it was not, so where it stands right this minute is, at the last meeting in September, there will be an agreement come before you all for him to start the process of, well, it'll be actually to an MOU, I forget what it is exactly, but it's the building right next to our museum for him to be able to go after funding. No, it's not going to be the infirmary, it's the building to the left.
Yeah. Ms. Daniels, myself, Byron, myself, you and David Melvin went out there, and his initial request was going to be for the infirmary. We went out there and looked at it, and I really felt it would be more appropriate and less of, that's a big building. There's a lot of work that has to be done on that building. I felt it would be in his best interest and that museum's best interest to take the smaller building. That's, if you're facing the front of the museum to the left, it's a nice, attractive, but it's a much smaller, and I think it would be a little bit easier.
Brick warehouse, isn't it?
Huh?
Isn't it a brick warehouse?
No, it's kind of a nice building. I think it'd make a nice museum. So that's the one that he settled on.
And so we did, as the chairman said, discuss, would this be a conflict? And I talked to Mr. Dickens about it, and I really do think that it would be actually worse to not be communicating really clearly on what's going on. I think there'd be more potential for a breakdown in communication, so.
I think it's Commissioner Peacock raises a valid concern, but again, no one.
How many people did you have apply?
11.
We had 11 applicants.
11 applicants.
So there are other people that could be put on there.
There are.
I see a conflict of interest. That's the way I see it.
Just for the record, let me just name including Mr. Dickens, the other people that are included in this recommendation from the TDC is Carly Barnes, Debbie Dennis, Hunter Potts, Callie Smith, Kenny Griffin, Carrie Eaton, Leon Kelly, and Tori Sims, just for the record.
And
I don't remember. Let me see if I
they
can.
didn't include all the applicants.
The two additional applicants were Linda Franklin and Tiffany Garling. Tiffany has withdrawn her application.
But Carrie Eaton serves as the chair of the TDC. She does. So we're spending TDC money in this museum. Again, I think that's going to be a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I actually had a little bit more of a concern with Terry than I did with Byron. But Kelsey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
In addition to Tiffany, who was the other person that applied and was not selected?
Linda Franklin.
Did
Who was it?
Linda
Linda-
Linda Franklin, yeah.
Kelsey, did you go back to the people that we appointed for this board?
Yes, sir. I contacted each of them both by phone and email to invite them to apply for this board.
Okay. And no one applied, okay. I can vote to approve the list if we strike those two.
So you're talking about approving it as a 7-member board instead of a 9-member board?
Whatever it comes out to, I'm concerned about the conflict of interest.
Okay, so state your motion. again.
I'll make a motion that we approve this list, striking Kerry Eaton and Byron Dickens.
Okay, got a motion from Commissioner Peacock. Hearing no second, the motion dies for lack of a second. You'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendation from the TDC committee or a alternative motion.
Make a motion to approve it.
A motion from Commissioner Crutchfield to approve the TDC recommended list, which is the group that I just listed off. Got a motion from Commissioner Crutchfield, a second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions, comments, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Peacock voting no, and you heard his explanation and concerns. With that being said, let's move down the agenda and we'll go to item number 11, which is board approval to purchase SCBAs. I can't recall the exact technical term for that, but it's what is it?
Self-contained breathing apparatus.
Thank you. Go
All
ahead.
right, this is a request to purchase the following SCBA's off the HGAC contract from Sunbelt Fire under FEMA AFG grant. The purchase includes 38 air packs, 38 face pieces, 76 air cylinders, and 12 spare batteries and 1 charging station. This is in the amount of $320,236.36 from the grant, with matching funds of $32,043.64. This has been accounted for in the budget, and there is some additional accessory we'll be discussing with you all in your next budget meeting, but for now, we're just asking for you to approve this.
Chairman, make a motion, we approve this request.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Mr. Branch. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving down the agenda, item number 12, board approval to purchase 1 commercial pumper fire engine from Hallmark. Ms. Daniels.
This is a request to purchase 1 E1 commercial pumper fire engine from Hallmark RTC off of Sourcewell contract under the FEMA AFG grant in the amount of $565,926.24. The fire engine is expected to be completed in December of 2025 or January 2026. Of course, depending on supply chain and production at the plant. Listed in your packet lists the budget breakdown. $500,000 is from the grant. A $50,000, which is a 10% required match, and then $15,926.24 will come from the fiscal year 25-26 budget capital outlay.
So about 85% of the total cost will be grant generated.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Got a motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please symbolize by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 13, board approval of educational reimbursement contracts for fire rescue. Ms. Daniels.
This is a request for board approval of educational reimbursement contracts for fire rescue employees that will be attending the upcoming 2023-2024 paramedic program at Chipola College, beginning August 21st, 2023. The current EMT firefighters that will be attending the paramedic program are listed in your packet, and these funds were discussed and approved to be expended in a recent budget session because it is 3 additional employees. It's more than we normally send. But given the interest you all decided to allow them to proceed.
I make a motion, we approve this request.
A motion from Commissioner Peacock, a second from Commissioner Branch. I will state that in my conversation with Ms. Daniels and Mr. Daniels, Mr. Rhett Daniels, that right now there's only 2 positions open within the fire rescue department. I just want to make sure that all of these people are notified that they can't move into these positions until the positions are open, and I'm sure Chief Lerner will communicate that effectively to them. And of course, it's about a year-long program, so things could change.
We'll need
during the
them,
course of that time.
Trust me.
Well, I also just wanted to say that I don't know that y'all actually took action on this. I said y'all did, you discussed it at length. But this is the formal action to bring it back before you. So I just want to make sure I clarified that.
Okay, you've heard the clarification. Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Branch. Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimously. Item number 14, which is board approval of closeout documents and the final pay application for the Graceville Station Storage Building. Ms. Daniels.
The board entered into a contract with Gulf Coast Construction Specialists for a storage building for the fire engine in Graceville. The construction is complete and the county has received the CO for this space. And so we are recommending to close out and final pay.
Heard the request.
I make a motion, we approve this request.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any questions, comments, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimously. Item 15, board approval to award special magistrate to the lone bidder. Ms. Daniels.
One bid was received from John McDaniel in response to the special magistrate RFP. He proposed 2 different billing options for his services, which are listed in your packet. Option 1 is an hourly rate of $250 per hour. Hours will be calculated at time spent at hearing, preparing for court, reviewing, and or preparing orders. Or option 2, work on a retainer of $1,000 per month guaranteed, including up to 8 hours and 1 court date a month. After consulting different departments and what we think the need would be, staff is recommending the second option of working with a retainer of $1,000 per month, including up to 8 hours and 1 court date per month.
Got a motion from Commissioner Branch.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Peacock. Is this a contract for 1 year, or how long of a period is it for?
Give me 1 second.
Oh, it says contract term of 1 year with 2 1-year renewal options.
Yeah, right there on the first paragraph.
Okay, we've got a motion from Commissioner Branch, second from Commissioner Peacock. Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously again. Thank you. Item number 16, board approval of a memorandum of understanding between the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners and the Great Oak Historical Society. Ms. Daniels.
Board approved the purchase of the Great Oaks property on June 26, 2023. In the interim, the Great Oaks Historical Society has been maintaining this property and utilities. This MOU allows for the reimbursement to the Great Oaks Historical Society retroactively from the date of approval to purchase until the closing and transfer of the property. This MOU is for 90 days. In the event the closing takes longer, this will be readdressed at that time. We're anticipating about $5,000 worth of expenses that would need to be either reimbursed to them that they've expended since that date or going forward until closing.
And are we moving forward with the closing process
We have a tentative date, I think of the 29th.
Okay.
Looking for that
Oh, very
email.
of
good.
August?
Mhm.
Okay, tentative closing date of August the 29th.
So this would just be from June 26th to August 29th if it indeed closes.
I make a motion, we approve this request.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 17, board approval to set a special budget meeting for Tuesday, August 29th at 1:00 p.m. This is up for consideration, but that works for me.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Does it work for everybody else?
I'm retired.
Okay, got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney. Any questions, comments, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. The last item on the agenda is the board approval of an annual small county consolidated solid waste management recycling grant agreement. Ms. Daniels.
Yes, this is requesting board approval, FDEP grant SC 417. The funds from this annual grant help fund salaries, fringe benefits, fuel, and equipment maintenance for the Jackson County Recycling Department. This agreement is in the amount of $93,750.
Okay, you've heard the explanation.
I make a motion, we approve this.
Got a motion for Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Branch. Any questions, comments, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, that concludes all of the items on the printed agenda. At this time, I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to the commission on any item that's not on the agenda. Okay, if you don't mind, come to the podium, state your name and issue that you'd like to discuss.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you guys tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Let me introduce myself. My name is Lee Keith. I'm a citizen of Jackson County. I went to Chipola College way back in the day, went through Law Enforcement Academy, Corrections Academy, the same place. I'm the retired former director of Liberty County Sheriff's Office. And I started under my police career started under Chief Palmer back in the mid-90s. I don't know if you guys remember Chief Palmer.
Chief was the police chief while I was a city commissioner there.
Yes, sir. I do remember those days back in when we used to have the dry cleaners right next door to the
That's
police
right.
department. That's right. A few days ago, I had a discussion over the 11 proposed structures at the sheriff's office complex over on Penn Avenue on I-10 on the 30 acres of prime real estate. The person I had the pleasure of speaking with regarding this matter is a highly respected, multi-decade law enforcement officer, just like myself, I should say. During the discussion we had, I was making the point that the cost of paying for the upkeep and the day-to-day operations of such a large, multi-million-dollar complex would be carried on the back of the Jackson County citizens. My point was that the cost would inevitably be very high in perpetuity, because we would be left holding the bag after the funds ran out. I suggested that the almost 7 acres that is located on Highway 90 be repaired and renovated in the specifications that the sheriff had asked for of this exact Board of County Commissioners. And it would be the best physically responsible and the most sustainable in the many, many years to come. So, as a concerned citizen, I decided to investigate this matter a little bit further, especially the public records, because that was what was brought up to me several times during the conversation. Based on what I found, I'm here tonight to ask you some questions. My findings has raised many questions for me personally. My inquiries into records that aren't known or easily produced or found within the documents from the Florida Senate, as well as documents from the Florida House of Representatives. What this Board of County Commissioners has been led to believe that they are voting on for the current sheriff's proposal is quite possibly, and I believe factually, different than what you've been led to believe. I won't state any opinions, and unless I'm asked for it, I won't give you my opinion, and I won't talk about anything I don't know. Okay. The documents that I have, I don't know if you guys have seen. Have you guys seen the actual attestation document? Have you guys actually seen the House bill document from the Florida State of the Florida Senate and the House of Representatives? Have you seen those documents?
I have not.
Well, I have them for you, and I would be glad to provide them to you as well as the attorney for the Board of County Commissioners, if that's okay.
Mr. Chairman, I think pass them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Godfrey.
Thank you.
Mr. Branch. And Mr. Peacock. There you go. sir.
Now, is this both of them,
That is,
the House and Senate?
that is the House. The top copy is directly from your website. It is the actual posting of the notice back from 2022, where you were notifying the public that you were going to have hearings, meetings, the discussion on proposed actual funding to renovate or update. Yes, sir. That's the only ones I have, but you're more than welcome to make some copies real quick, actually. I'm sorry. The Board of County Commissioners posted that they were going to seek, what, $2.2 million plus to renovate the sheriff's office on Highway 90. That's yours. And there's specific wording in that public notice that you gave that said, as you can read, I may have highlighted it for you. Excuse me for the bright pink colors. Some of you got yellow. That you were doing this in order to fortify or to improve the communications offices and things that were requested of you.
And this is for the old
This is
sheriff
for the
on
old,
Highway 90.
the sheriff's complex on Highway 90. Absolutely, Mr. Donifro, that is correct. The issue at hand is that in your wording of that document, you stated that that building was damaged. You can read it for yourself. I read it. It's not my words, it's your words. That building was damaged during Hurricane Michael. It was not destroyed, and it was not demolished, or it wasn't a total loss, right? If you'll go to the next page, you should be looking at the Senate bill page. Is that correct? Florida Senate?
Mhm.
That is Florida Senate bill, Florida Senate Local Funding Initiative Request 2998. I want you to notice the very top title, and I want to say this up front. I'm not doing this because I'm opposed to the sheriff's complex. I'm almost a 30-year veteran of law enforcement, and I have had an amazing life and career in law enforcement. Started out right here in Jackson County, and I love Jackson County. I went to school here. I've got many, many friends, some in this room, that we've been friends for a long time. The reason I'm doing this is because words have meaning. And if a man doesn't have his word, what does he have? My daddy told me a long time ago, when I was a young man, he said, Lee, you don't have to get bit by a rattlesnake to know it can kill you. There's some things in life you don't have to experience to know that they're bad for you. God rest my father's soul. I love that man. He was a great father. And he taught me to do my very best to keep my word. I haven't always done that. I'm a flawed and imperfect vessel, just like everybody else. I can't speak for everybody, but I'll tell you that I am, right? But I'm also an experienced law enforcement officer and investigator. And I'm hungry for information, always hungry for information. So doing some deep dives, I was able to find some things. It was a little hard to find because of the way it was worded. Hurricane Michael, if you'll notice the next word, what does that next word say? Rebuild of the Jackson County Sheriff's Office Public Safety Complex. Jackson County Sheriff's Office has grown by leaps and bounds since we were friends a long time ago when we were working at the old Walmart on Highway 90. And when Russell Corporation was here, when Speed Queen, Raytheon, all those were here. Jackson County's changed. And I will tell you this, law enforcement has changed also. And I truly, truly want the very best for the citizens of Liberty County, of Jackson County. We deserve to get every red cent worth of tax money that we pay. That's what we deserve. You'll notice that the date of request was 3/7/23. The line item number 4 says the project or program description. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office is seeking funding to rebuild a public safety complex destroyed by Hurricane Michael in 2018. I'm no expert, but I ride by the sheriff complex on Highway 90 many times, and it has not been destroyed. It is there. As a matter of fact, from what I understand, it's been repaired and is inhabitable. Am I wrong? So my question is this. What does that wording mean? Do words have meaning? If words have meaning, then gentlemen, you have almost $20 million to rebuild the Jackson County Sheriff's Office Public Safety Complex. Not erect a new one, to improve what we have. Because as I stated before, I know I was a director of law enforcement at Liberty County. I dealt with budgets, I wrote budgets, I had officer retention issues, I handled internal, I did all that stuff, and I've worked from the bottom all the way up to a leadership position as the second in command for a sheriff's office. I've got leadership training, leadership experience, and I know that with a small budget comes cuts. And if you're in dire straits or if you're heading towards a budgetary issue, $20 million for an 11 building or 11 location complex will evaporate in the blink of an eye. 45,000 square feet. I have it on good word and good terms that the Dozier School for boys was supposed to be a permanent move. Now, I understand there are issues there, such as the HVA system. The offices are small. Some of them are cells or interview rooms or smaller classrooms. I get that. When I was the director of law enforcement at Liberty, we worked in portable buildings. I know what it's like to try to want to get a new sheriff's office. I pushed for that, for the juvenile detention center on Highway 20, back when I was the director. It wasn't feasible for the tax base. We couldn't let the citizens pay for it. We didn't have any citizens. We didn't even have 10,000 residents in the county. Saying all that, let's go to the next page. Excuse me, the next item. There's $4.8 million of federal funding. What are those funds earmarked for? Do you know? Do any of you know? It doesn't explain in here what those $4.8 million are earmarked for, but it does break down the fact that the type of funding that their operations would be 3.9 million, fixed capital outlay would be 10.9 and some change million, for a grand total of funds requested of $14.812499 million. Question number 9 says, is future funding likely to be requested? The answer is no. 11 buildings, including a communications tower for $20 million. I walked that property this past weekend. I'm sorry if I did anything wrong, but it is county property, is it not? Let me tell you, I don't know what kind of money you're going to spend on land clearing, but you better get ready. And I think most of you know what I'm talking about when it comes to land clearing prices. Let's go to the second page. Status of construction. Now, remember, this was filed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Office to the Florida State Senate in March of 2023. Number 11, design. It's in the design phase. Okay, that's great. I'd love to know what the plans are. I'm sure a lot of the citizens would too. There's a lot of citizens, like Mr. Brandt said earlier, he gets a lot of phone calls. I have a lot of questions based on my background of people who ask me every day, what's my opinion? What's my professional opinion? And my professional opinion is there's no way you're going to put 11 buildings out on 30 acres with 20 million, not even 20 million, because if you'll notice in the breakdown of what's done in these forms, you don't have $20 million for construction. No, sir, you don't.
That includes design, development.
That's right.
plans, specifications, sure.
Road ready, excuse me, shovel ready, nope. Date of construction start date, 11/1 of 2023. I wish it was so. I would love for the Jackson County Sheriff. I have great friends and family that work at that sheriff's office. I love those public servants. I've taught many of them. I know them personally, and others inside of this county that work at other municipalities who would give their lives the blink of an eye for someone they don't know. That's the life of a public servant. You have it somewhat in the position that you take. Number 14, what specific purpose or goal will be achieved by the funds requested? Now that's what you call a qualifying question for the funds. The issue I have with that is it wants to provide public safety services to include 911 and emergency management for Jackson County. We do that already. And surrounding counties. I understand what it means to work with surrounding counties. But if you notice at the very end of that, it says, in the aftermath of Hurricane Michael, which destroyed the original, and that's the first time that word was used, the original Jackson County Sheriff's Office facility. That facility is not destroyed. It was not destroyed. It has not been destroyed. It had some roof damage and it had a few doors torn off from the wind. Governor Scott, during that or after that hurricane, he toured that facility. You can't tour a destroyed facility. We could go to the next page if you'd like. It just lists who the requester's contact information is. It lists sheriff. It lists Mr. Birch, Major Birch. It lists their phone numbers and emails. But that is the form that was filed requesting the money to the Florida Senate. The next thing you'll have is the actual documentation that was provided to the Florida State House of Representatives. That was filed earlier in February of 2023. So almost a month earlier than the Senate, you have the actual Florida House of Representatives appropriations project request, and that is Form 1343. Now, I don't need to read this very much because I've been over this several times. I've tried to understand it and I want to understand it. But what I don't understand as a citizen of this county is, why don't the words that are in these documents have meaning? If you scream fire in a crowded theater, you have the right to scream fire in a crowded theater. You absolutely do. You have the right to do that. But when people are injured because the words that you use had meaning and it caused a stampede, you're in trouble because words have meaning. 2023, February the 13th. It gives the breakdown. And number 4, which is the details of amounts requested. These numbers add up. They match what's on the Florida Senate request. They match. There's no discrepancies there. Absolutely no discrepancies. There's federal funding, $4.8 million. And then again, it asks, is this a multi-year recurring fund? No, it's not. If the Board of County Commissioners and the public safety in this county want to build an 11 structure, 30-acre facility, $20 million will not even touch it. Not touch it. And matter of fact, before you even start construction, have you thought about what's going to happen to Penn Avenue? Any of you considered what has to happen to Penn Avenue before construction starts? Have you been to the property?
I've been to both pieces of
On
property.
that look, that's a thin spot on Penn. It's got a little bit of a blind area, and you've got traffic coming to the distribution center right off of I-10, back and forth, north and southbound. You're going to have FDOT come in, and listen, don't take my word for it, contact them. Ask them to do a road study. Have them come out with them things.
They'll have to do a traffic analysis as part of this process. For sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Who pays for that?
It'll be part of this grant.
It's part of the grant.
Have to be.
Okay. All right. Well, there goes what, $500,000 to $1 million?
It wouldn't be that much.
Not that much?
Yeah, it would
Okay.
be a-
All right.
it would be a-
Well, that's got to be done before construction could even start. I'm making these points, I'm bringing these up as a,
Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
I guess the bottom line is, number one, it sounds like to me, without interrupting, and if you need to make additional points, you certainly can.
Yes,
It
sir.
sounds like to me that you're questioning the validity of some of the information that's contained in the legislative requests that were filed by
no, sir, I'm not questioning any of this stuff.
some of the wording then.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
I'm saying that the wording that's in here is a directive. There's a legalese thing called legislative intent. The legislative intent was to provide funding to rebuild the Jackson County Sheriff's Office that was destroyed during Hurricane Michael.
When you say rebuild, what do you define the word as rebuild?
Well, the wording in here, not my words, the wording in here says
What
rebuild
does that mean to
the
you?
original, rebuild, renovate, rebuild it, not new construction. Mr. Benton actually asked for an appropriations from the school board, superintendent did. He asked for a new gym in Cottondale. Do you know what the wording he used in that appropriations request? A new building. That's what he asked for. That was his filing, was a new building. He didn't ask to renovate or rebuild the old one that was burned down back in '05. He asked for a new construction. The word new construction doesn't exist in any of these forms. It says rebuild. As a matter of fact, it says the original Jackson County Sheriff's Office, that it was destroyed and they want to rebuild it. Fine, rebuild it. Please do. Let's get to work. If that place out at the Dozier Boys School is so prohibitive to conducting law enforcement activities after all the money that's been put into it, let's get back to work. Let's get to where we have our sheriff's office at on Highway 90. I don't understand why that place is not suitable. I just don't get it. I also don't understand why the words in this document are not related to you in a public forum for the public to know, because this is public record, gentlemen. This is not something that's privileged information. This is public. And the attestation form that was filled out said that this was true and correct, and everything in here was under perjury and penalty of perjury was true and correct. So if it says let's rebuild, let's rebuild. We can stop all the argument and fighting over all of it, absolutely all of it. We can go by what the legislative intent was for the appropriation of the funds, and that was to rebuild the Jackson County Sheriff's Office that was destroyed during Hurricane Michael.
So your major point of contention, and I'm just trying to get to the bottom of what your major point is
Yes, sir.
that based on these two, the applications that were made through Shane Abbott's office and through Jay Trumbull's office was really not for constructing a new facility.
That
as
is
the
correct.
sheriff is intending. At
That
this
is
point,
correct.
But for really rebuilding the facility at the current site.
That is correct.
Renovating, refurbishing.
That is correct.
Doing whatever would be necessary to make that facility appropriate for use by the sheriff.
Yes,
and
sir.
the sheriff's department moving forward.
That's all, that is exactly what I'm saying. I'm telling you that the words of these documents have meaning. These are documents that were sworn and affirmed to. They were affirmed to be true. If they're not, there is a remedy. If it's brought to someone's attention that this documentation is incorrect, the attestation document that you have on the back of this page gives a specific remedy. You will contact the Appropriations Committee. You will tell them that it is not for rebuilding, that it is for new construction. That is at the bottom of the attestation page that is on the back of the House of Representatives document, 1343. So if it is got to be for a new complex, make the changes. If not, you got almost $20 million that's been appropriated to rebuild.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I got a question for Michelle. Michelle, based upon what you've heard, does this invalidate this document?
I don't really have enough information to give an opinion on this. I don't even know that it's really within the purview of this board.
Yeah, because these applications were made really outside of our, I mean, we were not involved in the application putting
Right.
together. We were not really involved in a formal basis with the discussions that took place between the sheriff and Jay Trumbull. At least I was not. And Shane Abbott. Mr. Birch is, Wesley Birch is there. I mean, anything you want to add or? Okay.
What a question that I have. Could it have been, the intent was here with Shane Abbott and Mr. Jay Trumbull for it to be rebuilt, or is that word rebuilt really was intent like for the whole new? I don't know. Maybe if you look at it one way, you know, maybe
Yes,
the
sir.
wording was wrong.
Well, you have a document for comparison,
Yeah.
which
I
is
know what you're saying. I
Mr.
know what
Benton's
you're saying.
document,
Know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It says rebuilt.
right?
But
Mr.
is that-
Benton's
is
document
that-
says new.
Was that an intent from Mr. Abbott and Mr. Trumbull? Was that their intent to rebuild
Mr.
that one? or
Crutchfield,
new
I
one?
don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what their
That'd be
intent
my
is.
question.
Yes, sir. I don't know. All I know is that the documents state that money was appropriated to rebuild. And it doesn't just say rebuild once. It is in the actual name of the appropriation request.
Well, I guess the bottom line would be whether the word rebuild can have several different meanings to several different people. I mean, you know, rebuild doesn't necessarily mean renovate. It doesn't necessarily mean rebuild in the same location. It can mean rebuild a new facility in a new location. I mean, I guess the point I'm making is I don't necessarily think there was any intent to
No, sir.
defraud or.
No, sir, I don't
you know,
either. That's not what I'm
I don't
saying.
think that was the
Not
case
at all.
And
Not at
that's not the.
No,
point you're
sir.
making.
I am making no aspersions or casting, as they say, any shade on the sheriff or his administrative staff. No, sir.
Thank you.
I'm telling you that for how long now have we been arguing over the sheriff's office? Brothers, we have a sheriff's office. We have one. It has an aviation pad on it already.
And you're talking about the one at Highway 9?
Yes, sir, as referred to in these documents as being the original Jackson County Sheriff's Office complex.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
Ms. Daniels, when did we complete the renovation on the Highway 90 property?
About a year
Hunter, do you
ago?
remember when we finished it? About a year ago, a little more than a year ago, I would
About
say.
a year ago.
It was before these documents went in.
I think that probably would be fair.
I know they were.
Yeah, I'd say that would be fair.
I think someone needs to take a look at it. Now, I don't know who the someone is,
Yeah, I was gonna say, who is that someone?
not me.
It looks like,
My definition of rebuild is rebuild.
it looks like to me that Senator Trumbull and Representative Abbott is the one who submitted this request.
They were transmitted to them. Yes, sir. The attestation document states,
So I think you should be talking to him.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
The only point I'll make is that the attestation document states that the requester or the point of contact with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office read and was intimately familiar with Form 1343. Form 1343 is the House of Representatives bill. And it states that not only am I aware of it, but I affirm, which is a non-notary oath, which has been upheld by the Florida Supreme Court since 1993. That form that you have has specific wording to ensure that whoever is attesting on that attestation document, that they are telling you that what's in that work that they're handing in is true. Now, I'm not casting aspersions about any intent or any confusion or any, I don't know, wording. I'm not a wordsmith.
What are you doing?
I'm a law enforcement officer that's saying we could stop fighting about where the sheriff's office is going to be. We have $20 million to renovate and rebuild the old sheriff's office so we can get back to work.
I have a question for Ms. Daniels. Didn't this start out as rebuilding a a safe room, communications operations,
Yes,
it started out that
To
way.
build a safe room.
Safe room.
I'll tell you how it started, the whole thing, I know the history. Back when the campaign was going on, Ms. Willan and Clint Pate interviewed Donnie Edenfield and Hayes Baggett, said, hey, we've got some money, insurance money, we've got some FEMA money to renovate Highway 90. If you, either one of you are elected, where would you prefer to be? Highway 90. We as a board voted and went forward with repairing and renovating that facility.
That's not what I'm talking about.
When we got it finished, the sheriff came in here and said, I am not moving into it until you build me a safe room. A grant was applied for a safe room.
That's the 4 million.
That's
the $4
it,
million
to
dollars.
build a safe room.
And improve the
that's when-
communications aspect of it.
He went and got this money from the legislature.
That may be where the rebuild comes from. It started out as a rebuild.
No, we'd already renovated it.
We're talking about the safe room.
The safe room you would
The
have to,
grant.
you would have to build, not rebuild.
This is not a grant, ladies. Oh, excuse me, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a grant.
Well, I know.
This doesn't have any what's called a proviso wording to it. This is an appropriation.
It's legislative appropriation.
This is a legislative appropriation. A grant has proviso language to it that specifically states what that grant money is to be used for. Ask me how I know.
It went, is that true of the $4 million as well? Or is that just true of just the 14 million legislative appropriation?
The legislative appropriation doesn't have proviso.
Right. I mean, that's a
Liberty
leg-
County has the same thing. I'm intimately familiar with Liberty counties. Liberty County they finally got the the juvenile detention center. They're tearing down part of it, rebuilding part of it, incorporating the jail for $20 million, one structure, one building.
When you say it has no provisions in it, the legislative appropriation has to be used, it can't be used to build a
That is correct.
playground. I mean, it's got to be used.
It's the language that's in the application.
Right.
It is asked, it is answered, and then it is filed. And then the legislative intent is for that money to be used exactly what the sworn attestation, I'll stop using the word sworn because it's not sworn. It's worded specifically so it doesn't have to be sworn with the hand on the Bible or someone who's able to administer an oath. It's called a non-notary affirmation.
Well, I think, of course, we're not going to solve anything here
No, sir.
tonight. We'll take, I think at this point in time, unless anybody's got any questions or if there's
I
any
just want,
additional.
I want the citizens of Jackson County to get the public services they're looking for. That's what I'd like. I don't see that spot on Penn Avenue as being inaccessible. Listen, I live in Graceville. My wife sitting in the back, her family lives on Peanut Road, the McDaniels.
I think just again, to paraphrase kind of what we have heard from the sheriff and some of our discussions is the building on Highway 90, and our firm actually designed that building.
Right.
It was designed for Coca-Cola bottling company. It was a
Correct.
bottling company back in 1960, 65, 64. We
Yes, sir.
actually were the architects of a record on that
Yes,
when
sir.
it was built. It's an old building.
Yes,
It's 60 plus years old. So, and according to the sheriff, it's not in the most optimal location. He feels like he would be better served to be somewhere closer to Highway 90. I will say that we discussed at one of our last meetings, 2 different sites that the sheriff, that had been proposed for the construction of a new facility, a new.
Why not the
$20
bus
million
barn?
Facility.
Bus barn's already cleared. It's almost 16 acres.
It is, and that site was never really considered. That was part of my reason for voting against that one piece of property is we only looked at 2 sites.
It's got a fuel point already in place. It's already got lighting, fencing.
Yeah, but it's
Have you considered what the cost of the security of 30 acres?
that facility, and we designed that facility as well, for
Right.
the school board. That
Yes, sir.
facility is an old facility as well,
Right.
and it's being moved out of by the school board.
Right.
Partly for geographic reasons, partly because it's an old building that's served its life as well, so.
Well, you got $20 million, but the $20 million is earmarked to rebuild,
Right.
not for new construction.
But when you say rebuild, that doesn't necessarily mean renovate. I mean, there's a play on words. I mean,
Okay,
you could say that means build a new facility in a new location, rebuild.
you could, but you could also say it was being used to rebuild the location that was destroyed by Hurricane Michael, and it was not destroyed.
No, it was heavily damaged, but it was not destroyed. And I guess again, it depends on what you mean by destroyed. I mean.
The old, what do you mean is?
Yeah, destroyed means no longer can be used without some significant repairs, which
Okay.
were done, which
Right,
are done.
rebuild.
Put a new roof on it, had to put a new fascia on it, had to repair water damage. But I
Right.
guess my point is, unless there's additional questions, it's getting kind of late.
Yeah, I can cut it off. I just, my point that I wanted to make bare bones down to the quick is that you got $20 million. You got citizens of this county, you're having to raise a 5-cent sales tax for fuel to fix your bridges and your roads. We also did that in Liberty County for public safety. We did a 1-cent sales tax. It generated great growth for our public safety. And it can only be used for certain situations and for certain agencies that use the road. You're doing that. You got $20 million. Let's have the citizens of this county get what they pay for instead of having to pay for something that is smoke. Because $20 million, Mr. Commissioners, is not going to give you an 11 building complex. And where's the parking lot?
Well, there again, we're at the very, very, very beginning
I agree with
of
you.
this process, and no plans other than a very conceptual plan has been generated. I don't disagree with you. I think you're right. I don't think $20 million is going to build everything that was conceptually shown to us at our last meeting. I think you're absolutely correct there. But we don't know that for sure. I mean, we've not gotten into we've not even hired an architectural firm at this point in time.
Well, you don't have all of a lifetime to use that money.
No, well, I'm sure that that's being taken into account. And I know that there's starting to be some discussions as how to move forward with this process and how to move forward with taking that money and moving forward with it. I mean,
Yes, sir.
We're at the very beginning part of that process, and it will be a long process.
Yes, sir.
I mean, there'll probably be a years of work in the design and the development of the construction plans and the bidding. And then there'll probably be a couple of years, a year and a half, 2 years to build this thing. So it's probably a year, I mean, a 2 to 3 year process to get this thing constructed and get it occupied. And we're at the very beginning part of it.
Right, for the new construction.
Right.
Right. Well, that's the point I wanted to make. I appreciate you guys' time
Absolutely. Appreciate
and your
interest.
attention to the detail that I brought to you. Thank you.
Thanks
guys.
for bringing this document.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak, come forward and state your name for the record, please, sir.
I promise I'll make my brief.
Okay.
My name's Keith Deese, and I am a former employee of the Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
Okay. So I do want to bring your attention to the word rebuild. I'm just sitting back here thinking, I'm not as, maybe intellectual as a lot of people sitting in this room today. But I will tell you, I work on cars, and whenever you take an old engine out, you rebuild it. You put new parts in the old. You don't recast a whole new block. A new engine comes in a new car. You put new parts in an old block. That's a rebuild. Carburetor's the same way. So that's how I associate a rebuild.
Sure.
If it's new, it's new. Okay. Beyond that, locations. I worked at the old sheriff's office. I've worked at the one out here on Penn Avenue or off of Governor Rick Scott Drive. Accessibility. The old sheriff's office, for me and many people that I had in contact with, accessibility for the citizens was Highway 90. Okay, and I heard the other location where they talked about it better serves the citizens of Jackson County to be out there on Penn Avenue. I haven't heard how. They just say it's just going to be better serve the citizens of Jackson County. The other thing that I heard was that it's closer to I-10 for natural disasters, and if they can build it up as a staging area. All right. I was working the day that Hurricane Michael come through. I was out there, I was doing it. And I can tell you, I-10 was shut down, Penn Avenue was shut down, every road in here was shut down. But when it opened up, there were staging areas all over the county. Endeavor, the whole thing could be a staging area. Okay. So I feel like there's a little bit of we need more definition on how it's gonna better serve that location, how it's gonna better serve the citizens of Jackson County. I don't feel like it is. Like I said, I worked at the Highway 90 and that was very accessible to everybody. Everybody, and I know it's an old building, I do, but when it was vacated and we went out to the Endeavor property, everybody knew that when we left, in order to get back in that building, there was gonna have to be a communications bunker. It had to come up to code. Once we vacated, went back in. So this is not news information to anybody, including the people trying to get these, get the money for it. Okay, so that's all the points I'm gonna make. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, anybody else in the audience? Okay, with that being said, Michelle, anything?
I do.
Council?
Taking y'all back to the asphalt paving systems contract, and that potential default. The special counsel has completed their initial review of your inspection reports and all the contract documents. They are recommending at this time that the board move forward with declaring the contractor in default and proceeding with a claim against the bond, as well as a suit against the contractor for construction defects. According to the inspection reports, their phrasing was that the deficiencies were egregious in nature, essentially that the work's going to have to completely be redone. So that's going to be a pretty significant claim and probably extensive litigation.
I think that's pretty much compliant with what we've heard from staff as well, or the work was very low quality and not in compliance with standards.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we authorize,
First, I need to, the first is to declare the contractor to be in default.
to declare the APC,
It's APS.
APS to be in default
Okay.
of their contract for chip sealing. I don't know what roads they were, but whatever roads that are out there.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock,
Second.
second from Commissioner Branch, and this is to declare the contractor in default of his contract, and this is contractor APS.
Yes, asphalt paving systems.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Branch. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Second item, Michelle, that we need to do.
To authorize the claim against the bond and to proceed with suit against the contractor.
We file against his bond.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we file against APS bond and proceed with the legal action against the lawsuit.
Okay. Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Branch. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
thank you.
That's all you got. Ms. Daniels, anything?
I do not have anything.
Okay. Commissioner Peacock?
Unfortunately, I had to write it all down.
No, it's okay.
Rhett, tell me about the mill pond. Where are we?
So we're starting to get some, starting to get some citizen reports from residents and voters that are starting to see they are starting to see some regrowth. We got a trip scheduled for Friday. Derek Fussell, who came and spoke at the last meeting, is going to be taking myself and Chairman Donafro out, do an evaluation. Our lead researcher is on another project up north. When he gets back down, we're going to continue with treatment, follow-up treatment, and continue the evaluation.
Any idea when he will get back?
I don't, but we're shooting for a treatment around Labor Day, before or after.
On Labor Day? Okay, I appreciate it.
Yep.
We got to do something.
We are.
All right. A proposal was submitted by the Small County Coalition. You know, I've been talking about our volunteer firemen and the need of volunteer firemen throughout the state. So the Small County Coalition has submitted a proposal in my name, using my name, that the volunteer firemen, once they complete their hours of training necessary to be certified, that they would be paid for that. No amount has been set yet, but this will get the discussion started.
They'd be paid for the cost of the training.
They'll be, I don't know if it's gonna pay for the cost of the training or if they're gonna pay them for getting the training. It's a discussion that's going to be had. And it will be discussed, I think, in September, sometime down in Seminole County.
Paid to be volunteers.
Yeah, they will be paid for getting the hours. I think there's like 200 and, where's Chuck? Where you go? 240 hours that if you want to be a volunteer fireman, you've got to complete. They will pay them an amount once they get those hours. So I don't know. One-time amount is what is proposed. Of course, my proposal to them is also for volunteers, there probably should be a fund set up to give them a stipend for responding. You know, these are big trucks and stuff they drive. They eat up a lot of fuel, and these boys and girls are out all times of day and night, you know, fighting these fires on our behalf all over the county. Willan, did you see that message about the Appalachia Regional Planning Council? The Appalachia Regional Planning Council, which I happen to be the vice chairman of, has applied for and got a $20,000 grant. And they are doing workshops in the 9 counties, and it's titled Wheels on Wheels, and it's for the elderly. They will be at our senior citizens building on the 30th at 1 p.m. And this is being done in conjunction with the Florida Legal Services of North Florida.
This is just to help them generate a will.
Yeah, I just want to get the word out. I thought they were sending it to Willan
I haven't seen it.
and also to Wendy, but apparently they didn't. Some time ago, Michelle presented sending these letters of intent to place liens on the 4 people out, or the people out in Indian Springs that had not abandoned their septic tank. I went out and talked to all 4 of them, and for various reasons, they had not abandoned them. A couple of them were going to make cisterns out of them, but when I gave them the regulations on making a cistern, I think they're going to change their tune on that. One of them has already been abandoned. Then there were a couple of the others I think will come around, but if not, I'll come back to the board here shortly and ask that those letters of liens be sent. On last Thursday, I had the opportunity to go over to Pensacola and toured the flight school that Sky Warrior is running over there. It is very impressive. They have a fantastic operation going. They actually are training the Navy pilots, their first phases of flight school. And they say it's cheaper for them to train them to see if they are actually going to make pilots out of them. And what they're proposing to do is come to Mariana and set up operation here at our airport. They have contact with JetBlue, Southwest Aviation, and American Airlines. And they could probably bring Southwest, some sort of an operation out of Southwest and American out to our airport, which would help. They are pushing, if they come here, they want to go into the classrooms here in the high school juniors and get them involved in flight schools. Their scholarships, they said the Air Force had like $600 and something million, no takers. They can't get anybody to take scholarships. So it could be great for our area in that there's a lot of growth that could take place out at the airport. And I think it would be fantastic for the county. I know the airport is in the city, but it would have a major impact. It could have a major economic impact on our area if they could get a good flight school going. The only thing, you have to have a flight school out there that is capable of training these pilots to get their airline transport pilot's license and to work in conjunction with the school that Chipola has agreed to set up. But Chipola is not going to set it up if whoever goes out there and puts in a flight school can't take those students that are taking these aviation courses and see them all the way to the transport pilot license. So that is I think it's a big thing that hopefully the city of Marianna will approve. I think there's some consternation on the part of some of the people at the city, but I think the advantages to having that out there to this county would just be, it'd be incredible what could happen to this area. So
Is that, we just out of, I know that we met with, I guess, a different group at General Hart and William Long. Is that similar to that same endeavor, for lack of a better word? Is it?
Well, William Long and General Hart were part of the group on Thursday.
Okay.
They were over there and toured the facility. The Escambia County Airport Authority is doing some major renovations to the airport to expand Sky Warriors operation over there. I think they're a credible school. They obviously have to be doing the right thing or the Navy would not be affiliated with them. So
And what's the, you said Sky Warriors?
Sky Warrior,
Yeah, I mean, that's who was the
they've been here before.
fixed base operator at the airport.
Right.
But they're gonna have two schools this close together?
Yeah, they have one in, I know they got that one in Pensacola,
One
But-
up in Alabama somewhere.
Fairhope of Robertsdale. I think they operate out of Robertsdale. But they told me that a lot of the flying they do out of Pensacola is done over Louisiana. They would turn and come this way, and they would, a lot more aviation fuel and everything would be sold out here.
One of
Sky Warriors have 100 airplanes at the end of the year, so they're a major player.
One of the things that makes it attractive for a training facility, and you know, this is the fact that there's so little flight activity in our area that they, you know, they don't have to worry about
They have to wait
competing.
45 minutes on the ramp,
Right,
Pensacola. Well, the clock's turning
right.
and these people are having to pay and not get any flight time. But anyway, that's all I've got.
Good.
I'll
Thank
show
you.
it.
Mr. Crutchfield, Commissioner McKinney, anything? I do have one thing. I was contacted by State Attorney Larry Bassford. You know, there's, I think, Mr. Rooks talked about the consolidation of the Judicial Circuit 14. And Mr. Bassford, I guess, is along with Mark Sims is opposed to that effort of consolidating, thinking that it will not do our area any service by consolidating our district with either Tallahassee or Pensacola. And they have asked us to consider adopting a resolution of opposition for that consolidation effort. And what I'd like to do is direct Ms. Daniels to contact Larry Bassford to see if we can get a model resolution that they would that we'd be able to bring before us and ask us to adopt that resolution.
I think that's a good idea.
I don't know they do, but it won't hurt.
No,
So,
we can
Ms.
support
Daniels, can you take care of contacting
Yes, sir.
Larry and getting that? The other thing that I wanted to bring up is we had Carl Christmas talk to us about the intersection of Timberlane Road and Highway 2. And, you know, I know that was studied, that's in your district, Commissioner Peacock. I know 6 years ago that FDOT came in and did an analysis and did a traffic count, did all that stuff. And basically said that there was nothing that would justify making any improvements. I think maybe with since the conclusion of Hurricane Michael and all of the rebuilding that's going on down at Mexico Beach, Cape Sandblast, there seems to be maybe a little bit of a different traffic pattern. It might be worthwhile asking FDOT to at least come in and look at it one more time. They may come back with the same result and say that there's nothing justified, but I think it would be, it would behoove us to go ahead and ask them to come in and look at it again. It's been 6 years.
A letter was sent to Shane out of office, giving him a copy of that study, but I get them to do it again, so sounds good to me. You want a motion?
Yeah.
I make a motion to request DOT, come do a traffic analysis again of, Timberlane and Highway 2.
And also they need to include the fatality rate.
Yeah.
The fatality rate has increased tremendously on that road, that intersection there.
It's always been high. What they do, if they only count like 4 years, 5 years back, there've been dozens of people killed up there, right?
That's right.
Well,
Several.
I do need to include that if that'll increase the chances of getting something done. I mean, it's sad that you've got to include that, but if that's what it takes, that's what we need to do. Okay, you got made a motion. Second from Commissioner Branch, motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Branch to request DOT do a traffic analysis of the intersection of Timberlane Road and Highway 2, to see if there's any justifiable safety improvements that can be made. Any questions, comments, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Clay, anything? No, sir. Pumper, anything? Okay, with that being said, we'll adjourn this meeting of the Jackson County